Math lesson 7.5. It's the last one of this chapter. It is about solving and writing division equations. So we've done addition, we've done subtraction, multiplication, now we're doing division. And equations, we remember that it has to have the equal sign because you have two parts, one on each side, they have to equal, makes it equation. Algebraic means that there's a variable, and you always want to solve for that variable, which you can do with an equation. All right. Inverse operations, remember it means to undo each other. Basically the opposite. If it's multiplied by something, you divide it. If it's divided by something, you multiply it. You do the opposite operation. Okay, so we're going to do some solving. I have 3 problems here that I want to solve, and then I do have a word problem, kind of a tricky one, and we'll write that and then solve it. Okay, so let's start with solving. I have x, my variable x, divided by 8 equals 9. Okay, so x divided by 8 equals 9. I'm going to do what I always do, and I'm going to circle my variable. I want to get x all by itself. What's happening to x? It's being divided by 8. So I do the opposite. I times this by 8. Okay? And basically this is what's happening. 1x over 8 is the same as 1x over 8. Okay? So now I'm going to times this by 8. The way I make 8 into a fraction is I put a 1 under it. So now I do 1x times 8 gives me 8x over 8 times 1 is 8. Now 8 over 8 is just 1, which means it's just x. Okay? So I times it by 8. X over 8 times 8, and then 9 times 8. I got to times each by the same. They're each going up, multiplied by 8. Up, okay? So x over 8 times 8 is just x. 9 times 8 is 72. Now I'm going to check it by putting 72 in here. 72 divided by 8, that equals 9. So I got it. Okay? Let's go over here. Y divided by 4 equals 8. I circle my variable. That's what I want to isolate. And when I say isolate, I mean I want to get it all by itself. I want it, so that's the only thing on this side of the equal. I don't want anything else. So then in the end I'll say y equals something. Okay, y divided by 4. I do the inverse operation. I multiply it by 4. So times 4. And then I got to times both by 4. Times 4. When I do y divided by 4 times 4, that's going to give me just y. 8 times 4 is 32. Okay? So now I'm going to check it. If I think y is 32, I put 32 in here. 32 divided by 4 is 8. All right? So it worked out. Okay? This one, I have 30 equals b divided by 2. I don't know what b is. That's what I want to find out. I want to solve for b. I circle my variable. What is happening to b? It's being divided by 2, so now I have to multiply each side by 2. Times 2, times 2, and that equals, this equals b, and this equals 60. Now let me put this in here. 60 divided by 2, yep, that's 30. Okay, I was able to check it to make sure I had the right one. All right, let's go over here. These are killers. So we have Nathan picked a total of 60 apples in a third of an hour. Okay, so 1/3 of an hour equals 60. Okay? Now, I know 60 apples are in a third of an hour. I don't know how many apples are in the full hour. So, what I want to do is I have a third of an hour equals 60 apples. I don't want 1/3 of the hour. I want to know how many are in 3/3 of an hour. So I'm going to change this to be my apples. So if this will be what would happen in an hour, 3/3, okay? And so I have A divided by 3 equals 60. Now, I'm going to isolate that, and it's divided by 3, so I times each by 3. Times 3 times 3. This gets me A equals 180. All right? Then, if I put 180 in here, 180 divided by 3 is 60. So let's see if this makes sense. 1/3 of an hour is 60. A full hour is 180. Okay? The other way I can think about this, just a little different way, I'll just kind of run this through. We know 1/3 of an hour. We could take it to minutes. We know we have 60 minutes in an hour. 1/3 times 60 equals, that would be 60 over 3, which is 20. So 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, I pick 60 apples. And what I want to find out is what do I do in an hour? So how do I get this to be an hour? I got to times it by 3, times this by 3. I do the same to both sides. So now, in 60 minutes, it's 180 apples. Okay? So that's two different ways. So I just don't know the total amount of apples in an hour. So that would be the 3/3. Okay, pretty tricky. The main thing I want you to get is that when you have an equation and it's divided by something and you want to do the inverse, you want to get that variable by itself, you multiply it. Okay? All right, so what we've done over is this inverse operation. If it's addition, we subtract it from both sides. If it's subtraction, we add it to both sides. If it's multiplication, we divide it to each side. If it's division, we multiply it by each side. We do the inverse operation. Okay? So hopefully you're understanding this. This is really important foundational algebraic stuff, and we'll keep working at it.